based in southeast London, is passing through Sevenoaks this morning. Morning, Shannon.
Hello, nice to see you, nice to hear you, nice to be here.
Talking about sleep this morning, Shannon, how does a lack of sleep affect your creativity?
Well, it's funny actually. It can work in two ways. So, sleep for me, I feel, is really important. So I can get quite anxious if I know that I'm not going to get it. But then it also drops my guard a little bit. So it actually lets my mind roam in ways that I wouldn't have imagined that they would have. So it's a sort of a double-edged sword, really. But if you asked me to have a simple answer, I would say I work better on more sleep.
You're an artist, you're a teacher, and you're a speaker. When does your inspiration hit?
As any creative will know, the inspiration hits at those moments when you're not ready for it. And often they come when you've made some space. So that's things when you're doing other things in the shower or just waking up is a really... It's funny that we talk about sleep here because it is that threshold between sleep and waking that I'm often grabbing onto things, and they inform so many things of how I do, including like the branding for my business, for example. I just woke up with that logo and then had to translate it into real life. But, those sort of times, they're mostly when we're not aware.
So it's really important for you as well as a creative to get you sleep, because not only does it make you feel better and stop those anxious thoughts coming, but also you have your inspiration, you have those moments of brainstorming.
Absolutely. There's so much that is being processed, I know, while I sleep, from one day to another, whether it's to do with my creative life or even just raising children, whatever it is, that is so, so important. And when I do have an opportunity to write down my dreams or something, it feels like it's like a seam of gold, a place where I can harvest from.
You mentioned that you get anxious thoughts, Shannon. Something that a lot of people are talking about now is mental health and mindfulness. How, other than getting a good night's sleep, how do you control your anxious thoughts and the anxious mind?
It's something that has been very conscious process for me, and I use mindfulness a lot, which comes from the Buddhist traditions and is very popular at the moment in its secular form, and that is about meditation and being still and being mindful and being present in the moment. I don't do that as much as I could, but when I do, it really, really works for me. And if I can't bring myself to be still and meditate, then when I'm making, that is a way that I can have an agreement with myself that I'm being still, my mind has space, there's no pressure on me, but I'm actually being productive at the same time. So that's sort of like a win-win in that my mind wants to be doing. Sometimes it's hard not to not be all the time. And yet the repetitiveness of crochet or knitting is very relaxing and brings in that mindful sort of way of feeling.
It's good that although you are an artist and that is your day job and that is how you earn your money, you're also able to still feel like it's a form of relaxation and switch off time.
And there's no accident there. That's not an accident at all. That's why I do. It's not a job that I do that I've found to make it work for me. It worked for me, and then I turned it into a job. And, dealing with anxiety and depression, the history of mental health challenges that I have and successes that I have been highly supported by what I do. And I'm incredibly passionate about sharing that with others as well.
You mentioned that nature is a big part of your spiritual practice. How so?
It's just that level of awareness and being outside makes you be so present, and there's this solidness and permanence and yet changeability that nature brings. It just shows me these metaphors of what we are. We're so, like a tree is strong and resilient and permanent, and yet it changes every single day. There's a change, and the rootedness, the groundedness of a tree, and then the flexibility of it in the wind. It's just, and when I'm out in it, I feel like I can soak up those messages. And I don't know what it is, but looking at an expanse of green just makes me feel grounded, and it makes me smile and makes me breathe easier. And it doesn't matter if it's a central London park. Well, of course, there's a bit of a difference, but I can still find it in a central London park as well as having to go out into the countryside, for example.
Before you go, because I know you're dashing off this morning, what can we do to get more peaceful sleep?
That's a really good question. I believe that for me, routine is very important. So you don't have to make a decision with yourself every night to decide what time you're going to bed. Screens off for however many hours before going to bed. It's not my best practice, but our screens certainly do not come upstairs with us. So there's no screens in bedrooms. Have a separate alarm clock, separate bedtime things. I'd like to say it would be exercise. If I got a bit more exercise, probably that would be it too. I know that when I do exercise well, then that really sets me off really, really well, and I could do more of it.
Shannon, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Mockingbird_makes, or on Facebook at Mockingbird Makes. My website's under construction, so nothing there yet.
Join in the discussion this morning, 0800 756 1111, or you can ping me a text, 81333. Start your message with the word Kent. Anna Louise.